Good afternoon. I'm Caryn Coyle, and I am grateful, very grateful to be in this issue, and I thank all the editors, especially Rafael Alvarez, the fiction editor. I'm going to read about half of the story because it's a little long, and then you'll have to buy the issue to see the rest. Ballerina. When Genevieve was 6 years old, her mother ran over their neighbor, Mrs. Beeson, killing her. Genevieve was in the front seat of the 1955 Chevrolet Bel Air, a coral and cream-colored car that her father had bought for her mother. She remembered the impact of the car when it hit Mrs. Beeson. She remembered that she had been to a ballet class before the accident, that snow was everywhere, and that she wanted to protect her mother. When the car rounded the corner and headed up her street, Genevieve could hear the tires on the packed snow, and she covered her ears, cupping the sides of her hood. She closed her eyes and floated, gliding, her feet in lace-up shoes that crunched her toes. She was tapping on the stage floor, raising her left leg in an arabesque and stretching it straight as an arrow. She was suspended so beautifully, she imagined people were gasping in the audience, getting out of their seats, clapping, whistling, and shouting, "Bravo!" But the light was so bright on the stage, she could not see anything but a field of black. Genevieve opened her eyes and saw Mrs. Beeson through the dirty windshield, standing between snowbanks that were almost as high as she was. She wore a dark blue wrinkled hat with a net that covered the top of her face. The net was a deep blackish blue. A scarf of foxes covered her shoulders as Mrs. Beeson stepped out in front of the car, looking right at Genevieve through the windshield. "Oh my God," her mother cried. "Oh my God." The car banged Mrs. Beeson. She crumbled as Genevieve hit the dashboard, holding on with both hands until the car stopped. When she looked back up through the windshield, Mrs. Beeson was gone. Genevieve could hear her mother breathing, growing louder with each breath. Before her mother could say anything, Genevieve yanked the car's door handle. The door swung open into a snowbank. Snow fell down the sleeves of her coat and through the opening at her neck. Snow stung her chest on the bare skin above her black leotard. Genevieve hopped on the snow. The cold bit her toes. Her red boots were not warm, and she had forgotten the wool socks she was supposed to wear over her ballet tights. She remembered she had been stamping her feet on the wooden steps to the ballet studio, waiting for her mother to pick her up. Genevieve wanted to stay inside, but if she wasn't standing on the steps when her mother drove up, she'd be in trouble. Genevieve tried to block out the memory of the time her mother came into the studio. Genevieve was on the floor, one leg perfectly straight in front of her, the other bent slightly at the knee behind her. It was the best split she'd ever done. Her mother's fingers were hot. Genevieve could feel each of them pressing into her arm when her mother yanked her up. She did not look at her mother. She didn't look at anyone, watching her feet as she matched each step to her mother's across the shiny wooden floor. Genevieve climbed into the car, clicking the door shut. Her mother slammed the other side. "I told you to wait outside." She slapped Genevieve with each word, on her arms, her face, her thighs. Genevieve squirmed away from her mother, pressing her back against the car door. "Genevieve!" her mother shouted, but she moved quickly to the front of the car. It was so cold the air smelt like nothing. Her heart pounded, and she felt like she wasn't really there, staring at the car's grill. It looked angry, like the teeth of a growling bulldog. Two teeth stuck up on either end of the grill, and Mrs. Beeson was lying between them in the slushy, dirty snow. The net on her hat had ripped, and it was scrunched over her ear. Her faded, wrinkled eyes were open, behind glasses still resting on her nose. The foxes were still stuck around her neck, one snapping its mouth on the tail of another. The fox's eyes were beady black. They looked at nothing. Mrs. Beeson was not moving. Thank you.